Anyone who thinks that if you're a basketball or a golfer, that training is going to set you back anyway, it's just wrong. It's not true.
He does what's called microdosing with strength and conditioning. It's mini workouts.
You do have to have speed.
Yep.
Speed's universal, and so is strength.
Yep.
It was hard for me to kind of explain to them, like, oh, I play golf. Like, I would get made fun of, like, what are you doing, like, wearing a golf polo, you know?
What's going on, everybody? This is Coach Vinny Polillo, and I am excited to bring to you yet another episode from the Students of Strength podcast. Now, we are on episode 6, and I have another great episode for you. You've probably seen my guest if you've been paying attention to our podcast. Next to me, this is Coach Mason Davis. He was on the very first episode of the Students of Strength podcast with his older brother. Wanted to definitely get him back on the podcast so we can dig in a little bit more into the world of strength and conditioning for golfers. Now, Mason has a lot of experience. He played high school golf. He spent 2 years on the Delta College men's golf team. So he has seen golf at some pretty high levels. He has seen playoff and championship level golf. He's golfed around some really good golfers. I think the cool thing about Mason's whole story is he never started out as a golfer either. Golf was kind of something that he fell into. Basketball was always this guy's first love. So like I said, episode 6, this is called Building Strength on and Off the Course. And again, my guest today is none other than Coach Mason Davis. I'm going to have him introduce himself to you again, and we're going to get to this episode.
Yep, that's me. Everyone here at APL kind of knows me as Coach Mason, but I'm Mason Davis. I trained with Vinny throughout middle school, high school, even when I was playing college golf. Never really left. Pretty lucky that I got to train here, and now I'm lucky that I get to coach here as well. And now we're moving on to even bigger and better things, and we're working on Students of Strength podcasts.
Yep,
you know,
very cool.
So I played basketball and golf competitively throughout high school. Got to play golf in college, which was awesome. I didn't really know if I was ever going to get to play a college sport, but I was super lucky and I'm super blessed that I was able to do that. You know, I played against some of the top California college golfers, you know, back-to-back state appearances for the Delta team. And my second year, we were able to take 3rd place. So, you know, we've competed at a really high level, and APL has always been a part of that. So
very cool.
Now we're here.
Very cool. Yeah, so like Mason said, he kind of grew up here in the gym. You hear him reference APL, that's Altamont Performance Lab. You know, we've been here for 7 years. Mason has been a part of this place for all 7 of those years, starting out as a athlete, you know, learning how to lift and just navigate the gym. That took him into high school. You know, he's a Tracy High graduate. He's born and raised here, got to play high school sports. Like I said, never knew if that gets to continue. You know, Mason experienced injuries in high school, surgery, but was able to fully recover, get back to doing what he loves. You know, I think that's the cool thing about his story. You know, I can remember those moments when it was, my drive just went up 40 yards, you know, this improved, everything's improving. You know, it was, you never know how it's going to pan out. You know, most kids are done with sports when high school ends. Some are done with it before that. You know, you're a testament of what that hard work can lead to, you know, and whether it's junior college, 4-year, does not matter. You got to do what most are never going to get to experience. But, you know, let's go back to, you know, when Mason was that kid, you know, your love of sports, right? You're a Bay Area sports guy, you know? I know you're pumped that your Warriors are...
No, dude. The Warriors have taken years off my life.
And that's what sports do. They take years.
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm not appreciative because they've won many championships in my lifetime, but like you can ask my mom and dad. I am verbally abusive to the television whenever they're on. So yeah, huge Warrior fan, Giants fan, Niner fan. So yeah.
So how did you get involved in sports? I know your mom was the athlete back in the day.
It's pretty simple for basketball. Basketball was like a simple, all my buddies played, you know, at lunch and stuff. You always wanted to be good at basketball, like throughout middle school, whatnot. So I played for the team when I was in middle school. Loved that. We actually had a really good team, and all those guys ended up like playing together at Tracy High too, which was cool. So basketball was simple. I just kind of played all the time during school. Like I would go to the parks and stuff too outside of school, and I would just shoot hoops at the park. Like that was really it. Fell in love with basketball really quickly. You know, I loved watching it. I loved playing it. So basketball was simple, but I played multiple sports when I was little. But we're gonna talk about basketball and golf because those are the two that, you know, I really did play competitively and at a somewhat high level. So basketball was a pretty simple beginning, but golf was a little different. You know, how many 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds do you know that, you know, do golf lessons twice a week? Very few, right? So I got into golf because of pretty much my grandpa. He would always take me and Kieran out to the range when we were little, and we would just whack balls. Like it was nothing like playing tournaments and whatnot, but golf was always kind of a part of my life, whether I played it competitively or not. But I chose to make golf a main sport of mine when I was somewhat young. I think it was probably around like 6th grade. Probably 5th or 6th grade. All my buddies would see me like leave school with like a golf polo on, and they'd be like I would get made fun of, like, what are you doing, like wearing a golf polo, you know? And it was hard for me to kind of explain to them like, oh, I play golf. Like I play golf. They never really understood that, but
you're going to the driving range?
Yeah, I would go to my lessons after school with my golf coach, and then once I got good enough, I started signing up for tournaments, and I started competing in a lot more of those tournaments during high school. But I never stopped playing basketball either. So, you know, growing up, it was a mixture of both. I played AAU basketball. I played competitive golf, where I was traveling to different tournaments every weekend. And, you know, it's pretty similar to baseball if you think about it. You're just not playing for a team.
Yeah.
You know, so that was kind of how I got started. I never chose one over the other. Throughout middle school and high school, I always played both because I loved both. And, you know, I was somewhat successful at both, but I really couldn't get myself to choose one or the other. So I always played both.
No, and I think it helps you thrive when you're not just choosing one, right? We know what the specialization, and, you know, just if you're going to choose that one, it's what are all the other things, right? What's my strength training look like, my conditioning, my sprinting, you know, the speed work. And I think a lot of that is missing. You know, you and I have been coaching together long enough. We've worked with teams and organizations here, and strength and conditioning is always the thing missing from these organizations. You know, it's more than, oh yeah, we pull out the yellow ladder, we got some plyo boxes, we have some medicine balls, and, you know, we got the starter kit from Walmart, you know. And that's what parents are being sold, right? That, oh yeah, this is strength training. Our team does it. Our team includes it. And you know firsthand that that's not strength and conditioning. You know, you got to, you were that kid playing really, really young, and you had to find that outside resource, right? Just like your brother did.
I mean, everyone who plays for some sort of competitive travel ball league, whether football, basketball, baseball, whatever sport it is, they have done some sort of team training together. The only time that, you know, I ever really did that was just because of basketball, and it was something that you kind of had to do. We never really went out of our way to get better or to start training on our own. But, you know, I was lucky. I saw Kieran train with you while he was rehabbing from an injury. So that was kind of when his journey started here. But I never knew anything other than Altamont Performance Lab because I just saw him do it, and I saw how much he loved it. So my training, even though I was a golfer and a, you know, basketball player, like those are two sports that are kind of notorious for like not being big lifters. Like they're not really in the gym a lot. You don't see videos on Instagram of golfers or basketball players hitting PRs on bench. Like, you just don't really see that. But I always trained because I saw him do it. So I was super lucky that I never missed out on any of those areas when I was playing competitively, because it became part of my routine really quickly.
Yeah.
And it has always been a part of my life. And it's honestly something that I love just as much as playing the sport. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people will find themselves in that same situation. But yeah, that was kind of how it worked for me.
Yeah, it's like, when you do love it, right, you're going to love every aspect of it, not just the sport and going to practice and going to your lessons. I might be training before school, right? You were always an after school guy or after practice, right? It's those kids that are making the excuse that I don't have time to go after practice. Like, well, for you, you've always valued it. You've known the importance of it. Yeah. You saw your brother doing it, right? He had just had his labrum surgery. Kid wants to get back to playing baseball full time. So it's like, I'm going to go where he goes.
Pretty much.
And I mean, you came to the gym at a point where all those other kids your age were coming here, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of those kids, like you said, they went on to play high school sports, some with you at Tracy High. A lot of those kids went on to play collegiate sports, right? We can look at athletes like Natalie, right? Division II volleyball, Lauren, volleyball, Kanoa still playing Division II water polo, right? Your brother, chased down that dream of playing D1 baseball. Some people will say that, oh, the strength, it's not that important. My skill stuff is more important, and going to practice and going to games. And I think what's most important is balancing all of it, right?
Yeah.
And, I get to watch both of you go through 4 years of high school, your share of injuries, right? Surgery here, surgery there, recovery. And it always came back down to there was always a plan. There was always a routine to follow.
Yeah.
And I mean, once you finally got to college, even though you went to a JC, so did I, so did your brother, so do a lot of athletes.
Well, it's not that it's yes, it is a junior college, but for a lot of people, it's like I like to think of it as like a slingshot. Like, it is a really good step to propel you to somewhere that you might not have ever been able to go.
Absolutely.
Without going to a junior college, I mean, like, I can only speak for Delta because that was where I went, but Delta gets more guys out than pretty much any other junior college in California. Like, they do a really good job of making sure that kids get out and they get scholarships. So yeah,
So basketball, golf, how do the two worlds, how are they different from when you're looking at the strength and conditioning? Were you doing, I know the answers to these things. What were you doing differently between the two sports? Because there's so much of a stigma.
Yeah.
Basketball players, it's going to make us bulky. It's going to make us slow. With golf, it's going to ruin my swing. And I don't think, for one, are you looking at how golfers are changing now and what they look like on the golf course? Even when Tiger came back all those years ago.
I think anyone who has that mindset obviously doesn't watch very much professional sports. You look at Steph Curry. The guy is a hell of a golfer, and he's an NBA champion. He's one of the greatest point guards of all time.
Yep.
Like, his training has literally gotten him from skinny and scrawny to bigger and bulkier.
Absolutely.
And it's made him a better player. You look at when he was drafted, 2009, he was like 160 pounds, maybe 170, but now he's pushing 200 pounds.
And there's plenty of video of Steph lifting
anyone
and
who thinks that if you're a basketballer or a golfer, that training is going to set you back anyway, it's just wrong. It's not true. And if you ever need any evidence to help you see that, look at any professional athlete they're all doing it.
Yeah.
They're all training. They're all getting bigger, faster, stronger. And your sport does not define your training. That's not something that parents or athletes should worry about. A golfer is still going to be able to put on strength and size while still being good at their sport. A basketball player is still going to be able to put on strength and size while not getting slower.
Oh, absolutely.
And like I said, a prime example is Steph Curry. Everyone knows who that is. anyone can see the day that he was drafted from Davidson College to the day that he is now. Like, he's won multiple NBA championships, and a lot of it is because of his training. Obviously, he's a God-gifted talent, but just look at the pictures of him and his progressions.
And if you think that they're not lifting and they're not training, you've probably have never spent any time around anything other than a high school athlete, right? In college sports, you have massive weight rooms, you have a strength and conditioning staff, right? And a big reason why you don't see what high-level athletes are doing is because the weight room is a private place. Strength coaches, I'm one myself, I don't have time to pull my phone out and just start recording and filming, especially I could have 30 plus athletes training at one time, right? My phone is playing music, right? I'm in the moment, right? You don't see what we're doing, but trust me, it's being done. If anyone has ever watched basketball, you've seen the videos of what Kevin Durant literally does as soon as he gets off the court. It's a 15 to 20 minute little mini workout. One of my favorite performance coaches, Corey Schlesinger, he's been in collegiate sports. He's now in the NBA. He's been working with the Pistons. He does what's called microdosing with strength and conditioning. It's mini workouts. It could be 15 to 20 minutes. Everything's based off of what are the athletes doing during the week, right? You have to take into consideration the amount of practices that you have, right? What'd you do with those practices? And that dictates what we do in the weight room. You know, all those years that you trained, even you still work out to this very day here at APL with your brother, you know, now into your 20s, right? You've laid that foundation. You never once have crawled out of here. You've never puked in a bucket after a workout, right? You've been here through your highest moments, your lowest moments, right? Having to rebuild your strength, learn how to run and walk, all of those things, right? Because you've always had a good program to follow. And all of this just comes down to good strength training, and it's consistent. And that's what you see with college athletes. Even at a JC, they're lifting. So I think my piece of advice to high school athletes is you need to start even before you're in high school, right? Mason started in middle school. I think that's the perfect age. You could even start younger, right? It's knowing what you're capable of doing, right? Mason never came in here and figured out his 1 rep max or any max of that matter until his body was ready to do it, right? Mason was a wet noodle when he first started training, or he was a beanpole. Okay, I'll say it. But when
I still am. I don't know what you're talking about.
Now it's the kid's filled out.
Yes, I know.
He's strong, right? And you know, seeing that on the basketball court, right? I've seen him play. I've seen him shoot. I've seen him golf. I've played golf with him. You know, even I can learn from this guy. You know, so I think all those tools that he's learned, you still see them now. He's a coach now himself, giving back, working with all those young athletes that used to be him. So I think what I want to hear more, let's talk about your knee surgery that you had your senior year of high school, rehabbing that knee, and ultimately getting back to golf.
So injury happens around December, my senior year, so middle of basketball season. This was a time where I still didn't know what I wanted to really do with sports and college. So obviously I was still playing both, basketball and golf. When the injury happens in December, I found out that I was having surgery. I had surgery in January, I think. January or February, but when the surgery happens, it pretty much eliminated senior year of golf. So I couldn't golf in the spring of my senior year. This was all rehab. That was really hard. Like you talked about some of the highs that I've had here and some of the lows that I've had here as well. That was probably the lowest. That was really hard to do because although I was still playing basketball, this was a time where I thought of golf as my main sport. This was something
you're going to ultimately try to do in college.
This was something that I had found out that I wanted to pursue. I wanted to see what could happen with this. So when the most important year of high school comes around and I can't play, that was really hard. But like you said, we always had a plan and we always had a program to stick to. So throughout the spring, I was rehabbing. Quicker than I ever thought. I was jogging again, and then eventually I was running again and sprinting again. And that really took like a big load off my shoulders, because this was a time where I was trying to kind of figure out where I was going to play in college. And Delta gave me a really good opportunity, pretty much said, hey, come out in the summer, we'll give you an opportunity. You know, we already pretty much have a set group of guys, but we'll let you come out and just, you know, kind of see what you got, give it a shot. So that was awesome. By the time that I graduated high school, I was fully rehabbed, ready to go for summer at Delta. And after that, things just kind of all fell into place. Like, I was a college golfer. I had made it to where I'd pretty much wanted to be. And now it was just all about, you know, competing again. So as much as it was a setback, I'm not sure where I would have ended up or what I would have ended up doing without, you know, that sort of injury. Because while I was rehabbing, it helped me kind of realize, okay, I miss this so much. I do really want to do this.
Yeah.
So it made me work a lot harder, and it just put a lot of things into perspective for me. And I realized that, you know, I am ready for this and that I have all the tools that I need. So yeah, it was pretty much took away my spring in high school. Couldn't play senior year golf, but was able to go play at Delta, and I loved it.
Yeah. And I mean, you were one of those COVID kids that got to experience the weirdness of school being
freshman, sophomore year,
canceled, sports, all of that, right? And even then, we always had the gym. The gym has always been the outlet for us, right? And I think the perspective too, it's like it didn't have to be a Division I, Division II. I need this massive scholarship. It's like, I just want to go play golf.
Just wanted to play.
I want to go play the sport I really enjoy doing. I want to walk those 18 holes and feel that my knee achieved those 18 holes.
Yeah.
Right? It's checking those things off. And I mean, even through all of that, like missing your senior year of basketball, right? It was, you know, you got to play a little.
Still got to walk out on crutches.
Yeah, you got to walk
night.
out on crutches. You literally not even 24 hours
the day after surgery.
And that's a core memory for both of us, right?
Yeah, I had you there.
You know, we'll definitely have to share those photos in the podcast, so you know what we're talking about. You know, it's still taking a really shitty situation and all smiles, you know, and you're still out there supporting your team. And it was, I'm not going to give up. You've always had the gym. You've always had a very good support system.
Yes.
You know, your family's always been behind you. You've always had the support of not just myself, but everybody involved with Altamont Performance Lab. And I think that's what athletes need, right? It's more than just my kid goes and works out at Planet Fitness, or my kid works out on their own. What happens when your kid blows out their knee and they have a surgery and you're looking at 9 to 12 months of full rehab, right? I don't think that's what people, they don't look at it that way. You know, I worked hand in hand with your surgeon, physical therapist, following a playbook. And it's never about me. It's not so I can post some story and take credit for your rehab. It's more like, no, this dude hunkered down, went through a massive, any surgery like that where you go under, it's big, right? Just the first initial 4 weeks of you sitting at home, right? Not being able to even do anything after that surgery. And then a little bit of physical therapy, and then you're in the gym. And then before you know it, you're back out on the course. You're probably playing better than what you did beforehand.
Yeah, I think some time away from the game really helped a little bit too. Like I said, it put a lot of things into perspective for me. But yeah,
because we'd already knew you could jump. We already checked off you running for the very first time and sprinting for the very first time. Now it's go back out on the course, do your thing, swing, see where the ball goes. And I mean, for golf, what I learned too, it's more than your high school play. It's the tournaments that you have to do.
It's
You know, it's
really complex.
Yeah, I think golf is extremely complex. I mean, these days, to be completely honest, I don't think high school sports have any bearing on where you go or where you end up, because there's more emphasis now on the travel teams and more of that, because that has more recognition and the organizations could be twice the size, right? I remember when it was just AAU, nothing else existed.
Yeah.
You know, now every mom, dad, aunt, and uncle has their own travel ball team, right? I mean, just in our town alone, I've lost track of how many teams there are.
There's a lot. But
we know that most of them probably aren't focusing on strength and conditioning. It's not anything to knock on them.
No.
Right? We know what's missing from these programs. We know what's missing at the high schools. I mean, you went to Tracy High yourself. I went to Tracy High, 20 years ago. Strength and conditioning, it's not a thing. It's not really of importance, which for me as a strength coach who works in the private sector, it's scary that your kids go to school and play sports and nobody cares about how strong or fast they are or what they're doing. Your kid's soccer coach shouldn't be the one designing their strength and speed workouts and what they do. That's why you've always found it somewhere else. Let someone else do it for you. And then you're the athlete. You have to be the one to do it.
Anyone can go anywhere, but how long can you stick to a program? How long can you actually do the task that, you're signing up to do? That's always the part that a lot of people miss out on. But yeah.
And now we're back after that brief intermission. Sorry, I was in the middle of coughing. So hopefully that was edited out.
It's always
you
something.
can always get a chuckle out of that.
Always something.
It's winter time a little bit here in California, so we have the heat on, and that's just a bad idea. So back to our episode here. If you're just tuning in, Coach Mason here, we've been talking about high school basketball, high school golf, just that journey of checking off something on your bucket list. I think for Mason, it was always playing a collegiate sport, whether it was going to be basketball or golf. Golf was the passion, right? And we've talked about the ups and downs that I don't think it matters what sport it is. There's always going to be ups and downs. It doesn't have to be a physical up and down, like an injury. It could be a mental thing. It could be an emotional thing. I think Mason has probably gone through at least one of those in his time. We all have. I had a little breakdown yesterday that he was here for, and now we're talking and it's a better day. Things got fixed, so we're good. He knows what I'm talking about. But it's not the end of the world. Nothing defines you, even a crappy injury. And now he doesn't have to worry about golfing under pressure. You're not a college golfer anymore. Now you can just go out there, but he's pretty good at it. I think there's a lot of kids now that are getting interested in golf. I've seen it. I mean, heck, our golf course here in town has grown tremendously, which is always great to see. I think a town always needs a good golf course. What do you see in the next 5-10 years for golf? What's some advice you have for these kids, even adults out there?
I think the reason that the game's becoming more popular is because it's really changing. If you look at it from a long time ago, it was somewhat boring compared to what it is now.
Country club stuff.
Right.
Tucked in shirts.
Now, if anyone watches, just on Instagram, you'll see ESPN or SportsCenter will post a video from the Ryder Cup, USA versus Europe. They're saying F you across the green.
Dudes with beers and
it's crazy.
It's
so
like a Happy
I think
Gilmore
the game
movie.
is evolving.
Absolutely.
And I think it's good for the game. I think having guys like Bryson DeChambeau, who are true Americans who really are always on social media, have YouTube channels and stuff like that. And then you look at guys like Bob Does Sports, Good, also have YouTube channels, but aren't professional golfers. they're both doing the same thing. They're both on social media.
Yeah.
They're both creating content. So younger people are seeing it, and even people who are older are seeing it too. And it's just with the little things, like people are dressing different now. It's more athletic clothing. It's more, I can hit it further than you. And that's kind of the way that the game is starting to evolve. So I think that's why it's getting more popular. I love to see it because I know it wasn't that long ago, but even when I was in middle school and high school and I was playing golf, it was somewhat like you're playing golf, like you're on the golf team, really.
Yeah.
Like I was the only freshman at Tracy High on the golf team. It was seniors, it was ex-baseball players, and it was football players who were looking to just go out and have a good time on the golf course. I was the only freshman in that class, the only freshman at tryouts. And now I don't think you see that anymore. I think Tracy High has to cut kids from the golf team because there's a lot of kids that are actually 100%. Trying to play competitively and make the lineup every week and get their scores out there, So yeah, the game's changing really quickly. You see it professionally, you see it here in Tracy, you see it on YouTube, Instagram, you see it everywhere. And it's really cool.
Yep. I mean, to think like the Tiger days, I think they're finally, unless he joins the older guys finally, right?
But he's still trying to hold on.
He's still holding on, but you see like Tiger's grown child he's just as good, could be better, right? It's,
And he's going through it right now too. He's going to start getting recruited pretty soon, and he'll quickly find out how it is very much not as pleasant as it seems online. But,
and it is, it's an expensive sport for sure, but all sports are expensive, right? It's clubs, you got to go all in.
I can't say it's much more expensive than club volleyball.
Yeah.
Or
sports are, if you're going that route, right, and the development side of things, it's going to be an investment, and that's what it is. Mason's parents made an investment in this child, in their older child, in their youngest child, right, who plays club volleyball, right? You had a roof with you got a baseball player under one roof, basketball / golfer, and you got the volleyball kid. Right? It's at the end of the day, all three are still going to have to be strong and figure some stuff out.
Yep.
You can't be afraid of the gym. I assure you, it's not going to make you bulky. It's not going to ruin your swing. It's not going to mess up your jump shot. If you play sports where speed and strength are important, it's not very important to be fast on the golf course. You're not running through your 18 holes.
There's different versions of being fast. You're not going to speed run,
speed
throughout
round.
the hole, but
we're playing a speed round.
But you do have to be fast in your swing if you want to keep up with the top players. So you do have to have speed.
Yep.
Speed's universal, and so is strength.
Yep.
So
we're not going to say, hey, there's some special sport-specific weight training, strength specialty program that Mason was on, but any good coach knows that he plays a rotational sport. So there are some things that he will do in his training that probably will carry over to the golf course. There's a ton of stuff in the weight room that can carry over to the basketball court. I mean, basketball players are constantly injured and dealing with this and that. It takes a lot to run up and down a court and change directions, but there's nothing that we're doing in the weight room that's going to prevent any injury, right? Mason has always been strong and healthy. He's still injured his knee. But I think because of how strong and healthy Mason was, he was able to recover extremely quickly.
Yeah.
The mindset of when injury happens didn't shut him down, right? So yes, your strength training, your taking care of your body does play a crucial role, right? Someone sick and weak is going to have a lot harder time with a surgery than strong, healthy Mason here. Right? And he doesn't have any issues with that knee years later, right? It's all in how he's taken care of that body, and it sets a great example for all of the younger athletes that he gets to work with that we see on a daily basis here. And he has a younger sister who has now seen both of her older brothers go through some shit, right? They've played at the highest level that they could possibly play at. So she kind of just gets to coast back and chill.
She
and
is definitely
create her own story, right? It's the Brooklyn chapter now, the KD and Mason chapter. We're closing that right now. They're becoming big adults now, and we're gonna write the boring side of their
take
story.
over.
Brooklyn is gonna take over. She'll be our next guest here, maybe on the podcast.
She would freak out.
So no, I think it's been great having Mace here, kind of shining more light on high school basketball, high school golf. You know, he's got some great perspective on those things. If you want to learn more, you can always come find him here at the gym. Maybe take one of his strength and conditioning training sessions during the week. You can maybe find him on Instagram. He has taken ladies, so leave him alone. Mace, you want to close anything out? Say anything to your fans?
Oh man, I do know that our subscribers are pretty much doubled since the last time I was in here.
Subscribers are going up.
Even though it was from 11 to 22, but
you're gonna have to. People might judge you based on episode 1 versus episode 6. So we'll see what your girlfriend says if she likes this.
She does watch them.
Hey.
She does put them on the TV and watches them in the apartment.
That's what her podcast for. So Jade, thank you for watching. Tell your friends, tell all your roommates and people you know, so we can double our subscribers again. Let's get to 50. I don't need a lot.
50 is actually a good number.
50 is really good.
More
the whole,
people than
the whole
it
goal of
seems.
this podcast, guys, is to really highlight our small town, right? That's what the Students of Strength podcast is. Mason has roots here in this town.
Generations of family.
You could put Davis under the Tracy name on the water tower. That's how cool.
That's ridiculous.
No, we'll just put a Sugar Shane sticker up on that.
That would be funny. He would do that.
So, yeah, I mean, you can see just how much fun we have with this. You know, I've known Mason for a while. He's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I think we'll end on that note. Thanks again for listening, watching Students of Strength podcast. You can literally find us everywhere now. We're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen, wherever you watch. We appreciate it. Appreciate the feedback. If we keep doing this, hopefully we get some merchandise out of this. We'll get some t-shirts and some hats.
That'd be sweet.
And we'll take over the world. Not really. We just want to take over the town. So, Mace, thanks for joining in again. This is episode 6. I'm Coach Vinny. This is Coach Mason Davis, and we are signing off.